Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. If you happen to be new here, my name is Jess. As you guys can tell from the title of the video, I'm going to be doing something new today. Something, well, not new, but something I've never done. I have been reading a ton. I've always been a very big reader, but I kind of always stuck to a lot of Stephen King, a lot of adult books. And so now I'm reading a mixture of both. And I wanted to sit down today and talk to you guys about, you know, possibly if you like this book, then you'll like this book, that kind of thing. Some of these are, well, most of these are adult to YA. So if you like this adult book, you like this YA book, and you can kind of go, okay, well, if I like the YA book, I might like the adult book. But I wanted to sit down and kind of go over that with you guys today because, like I said, I've never done this before, and now that I'm reading a bunch of other books, I wanted to give you guys some of my opinions on some similarities between other books because at this point, it's been a while since I've read something that is completely revolutionary, that is completely different. And so there's always a little bit of something in another book, something that you may like, whether it be like characters or, you know, like setting, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get started and stop rambling because rambling is literally all I ever do, let's be honest. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So if you guys remember, not too long ago, I read a book called The Warded Man. The Warded Man follows our main character, and he lives in a world where there are these words that they draw on wood or they put in stone around where they live, and it sort of protects them. And there's a lot of these like demons that come up from the core of the earth. I'm going to be continuing with that series. I just haven't been able to because I have so many other books that I want to read. I really probably shouldn't have started a series, but I really liked the setting of that. And I like the kind of like, I don't know, like the demon aspect of it. And I was reading a book recently and I started noticing some similarities, and that would be An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This book has like jinn and, you know, like genies, and it has like demons and people who can live for forever and things like that in it. And I started noticing that I found a correlation between the two of them, and I found them both really enjoyable. The difference is there is a female main character in An Ember in the Ashes, and obviously the main character for The Warded Man is a man. But I still really liked that there were multiple characters. In The Warded Man, the main character is a man, and there are two other sub-characters, like, you know, his, like, sidekicks, essentially, that are a boy and a girl. And then in An Ember in the Ashes, the main characters are split between a male and a female. So you do kind of get that aspect, as well as one of the other main characters is also a woman. So I really liked it. I started seeing a few similarities. So I think if you like The Warded Man, I think you'd be interested in reading An Ember in the Ashes. Now, the next book I have here is one that you guys know is one of my absolute favorites. It would be the Grisha Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I love this series. I'm not a fan of Six of Crows, but Leigh Bardugo is one of my very favorite authors because of this series. I really, really enjoyed it. I like the world with like light and dark and, you know, just, it was really gruesome in a way, but it was also very like grungy, and I just really, really liked it. It is about a country that is split in half, and there's something called the Fold that exists between the two of them. The main character is a female, and she sort of goes to this school essentially like for Grisha, and she learns how to use her powers, and that's kind of like what everybody in the world does. And I really, really like that aspect of this book. I like school settings, like fantasy school settings, and I started noticing, because I'm listening to another book on audiobook, and I started noticing some of the similarities between the two of them. And that would be The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Obviously these are very, very different in a lot of different ways, but if you do like a school, like a fantasy school setting aspect of a book, I think that you would really like this book as well. This book is touted as a very, very amazing book, and I can definitely attest to that. This is one of my husband's very, very favorites, and if you follow G, who is Bookerist here on YouTube, this is also her favorite book of all time. I'm about 70% of the way through this book, and I'm really, really loving it, and I'm seeing a lot of similarities in like the school aspect, because the main character Kavod in this book actually goes to a magic school essentially, and he learns how to do a bunch of different things, and I really liked that, and I started noticing that I just really like those types of books. This book is just wonderful as its own book as well. It has like a lot of music, a lot of magic, that kind of thing, which I really also like from the Grisha Trilogy as well. I like the aspect of the types of magic that they are using, and I think that they're both kind of different because the Grisha Trilogy is a different type of magic where people can kind of harness different things, and then in this one, obviously, it is a taught magic. Anyone can pretty much learn magic in this world, and I really, really like that aspect of this as well. So I thought that these two were pretty similar if you do like the school, you know, like main character goes to a magic school to learn how to use their abilities. Now, the next two books I have here, this one I don't actually own, but it would be Ender's Game. You guys know I do not like Ender's Game, but I liked the aspect of these kids, once again, who go to like this training. In Ender's Game, it's more of like a military training kind of thing, and they're pulled from their homes, and, you know, because they're super smart or whatever it may be, and they are trained. You guys probably know what Ender's Game is about. and you guys probably know I wasn't really a big fan of it. But while I was reading this book, I started to notice a lot of similarities and how much more I liked this book, and that would be Nixia by Scott Rankin. I really, really love this book. You guys know I inhaled this book. I was actually sent this for review, and then I read an arc of the second one on NetGalley, and I already have it pre-ordered. I'm such a fan of Scott. I love his writing style. I really like this book even more than Ender's Game, but I can see why they're kind of compared to each other, because this one is about a group of kids who are kind of taken out of poverty and essentially used by this company to do what they want them to do in exchange for them taking care of their families that are back on Earth. Now, the similarities are it's very, very similar, because these kids are put against each other as they are in Ender's Game. You know, they're not supposed to develop friendships. They're kind of, somebody's always singled out as the runt, and that they're supposed to take their anger out on them. It's that kind of thing, and the main character is definitely pushed to his emotional and mental limits in the book as well, which obviously in Ender's Game that happens also. I really like this book. I really like the similarities, but if you're looking, you know, if you're interested in the story of Ender's Game, but you don't necessarily want to support Orson Scott Card, I would definitely check out Nixia. Now, these next two books have been compared quite often. Now, I can see the comparison, and I'm going to kind of go over those today, but I have to say I did like one more than the other. And the first one I have here is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I'm sure you guys are sick of me talking about this book. I really, really like this. I really like his writing style. I really also loved Armada. But this is about a boy who lives in a society where it's pretty desolate. Like, the world is pretty messed up, kind of like everything's run down. There's a lot. It's just not a good world. And I really like this because they put on something called the Oasis. It's like a headset that they put on and they enter this world, and they are able to work inside of it, go to school inside of it, you know, kind of explore different things in their life inside of it. It's a whole new world that they're able to experience, and I really like the aspect of this. And so I started reading this book, and I noticed there's a lot of similarities. Now, I obviously love Ready Player One a lot more, but that would be Warcross by Marie Lu. This is very, very similar in the sense of it is a like 3D submersive game headset that they put on that they're able to enter. The only difference is in the Oasis and Ready Player One, you kind of sit in a machine and then you enter the world. In Warcross, you're able to kind of walk around, and it sort of does an overlay of the world. But there's so many similarities in this. There's no like sports stuff in Ready Player One, but there obviously is in Warcross. But it's definitely very similar. So I think if you guys liked Ready Player One, you'd really like Warcross. Or alternatively, if you've read Warcross but didn't know if you would be interested in reading Ready Player One, I think you should read it because I think that they are very, very similar. Now, this next book that I have here, the similarities are kind of a stretch, but I kind of got the same vibe reading them. I don't know if you guys are the same way. The first book I have here is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. You guys know I really, really like this series. The thing that I like the most about this series are actually the characters. I like the dark, broken characters. As you guys know, Holland is my favorite. I like, you know, cheeky Alucard. I love those kinds of characters. I thought that this book, while having a stunning world, also had an incredible character like development. I really, really liked it. I thought the characters are wonderful. Also, the magic in here is very interesting and exciting as well. I mean, it's not 100% new, but I still think it's really cool. And I like that they're able to jump between different forms of London. And then I started rereading because I have read this before. I'm not done with this book. I'm about halfway through, but like I said, I've read it before. I started rereading The Black Prism, and I started noticing some similarities. The main character, Gavin, is a slightly broken while also being very, very sarcastic main character, as well as Kip. Kip is the other main character in this book, and I started seeing some similarities between the characters in A Shade of Magic. So I think that if you are a character-driven reader, if you really like Shades of Magic and you like, you know, funny characters or broken characters, or even like the Lila of A Shade of Magic, there's definitely a character called Karis in here who kind of gives me the same vibe because she doesn't really care what anyone else thinks. She's going to do what she wants to do, and she's kind of a badass. Although I do find Karis slightly less annoying. I think that you'd really like this book as well. Now, this is an adult book. This is a very hefty adult book. My copy that I have here is almost 800 pages, and this is the trade paperback. So this is a large series, but it's also very unique in the way that Shades of Magic is, because the magic system in this is very unique. If you saw My Husband Picks My TBR, you know what I'm talking about. Essentially, everyone is able to draw resin from their body based on a color that they are able to see on the spectrum, and they are able to form weapons, shields, whatever it may be from that magic. So I do like the different types of magic in both of these books. I think that they are both very interesting and kind of new, as well as I really, really like the characters in both of these books, and I can see some similarities. Now, the last two books I have here I've actually spoken about before on my channel. You guys know, I think I've even drawn the conclusion that they are very similar. The first book that I have here is Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This book obviously is told in a very different way. It is told in, like, text, like emails essentially, some voice log stuff, in pure pictures. It's really, really interesting. Also, the story is obviously a sci-fi story. It follows our main characters when they're, the station that they are on, the planetary station they're on, is attacked, and then they get on this ship and all hell breaks loose. I thought it was really, really interesting. I like the, I don't know, I just like the storyline. I'm not going to go too in depth on it because obviously a lot of people have read this, and if you haven't, you need to. It is wonderful. But while reading this series, I think I just finished Illuminae, and I picked up this other series, and that would be Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. As you guys know, I just finished the series for this. I'm very sad. There's going to be a full review coming later on in the month for this, but I started noticing some similarities. Mostly, obviously, right away, it is the format that this is written in. The format of this book is done in interview form. So there is a main character. There's a ton of characters in this book, but the main character, what I got from this, is actually the interviewer, the man who is interviewing everybody. You don't know his name. You never really find out his name till for a long time, but I really, really like this series because of the format it is written in. I think it's very interesting. There's a lot of like data logs. There is a lot of voice recordings. Now, it's not done in such a graphic way as Illuminae is. Illuminae, when you look at it, you can kind of see, it looks like an email. It looks like you can see the voice down here. Like you can see that it's a voice recording kind of thing. In Sleeping Giants, it's obviously just written as like question and answer, and you can kind of glean from that that is what's happening, that it is an interview. But if you like really interesting formatted books, if you're looking for something outside of the normal, just like a book that you're reading kind of thing, like a normal way it's written, I think you'll really, really like these. So if you read either of these and you're wondering whether you should read the other one, I think you definitely should. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. It was really actually kind of hard finding books that are similar, because I think when an author, obviously when an author sets out to write a book, they want it to be something completely different and revolutionary. But there are certain things that you can kind of gain from another book that you can from some other book, if that makes any sense. I'm rambling again, god damn it. But I think that if you like any of these books, if you've read any of these books, and you can kind of enjoy the other book that I recommended as well. So I hope you guys like this. Bear with me, obviously this is my first time doing it. It might be all over the place, but I hope you guys are having a good week. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. But either way, I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!